Chaudhary, founder of Middle East Insights program, joining us. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Chaudhary here. And my first question to you is, how did this all happen so fast? Now, we are coming to know that the allies of Syria, of Bashar al-Assad, they were preoccupied with their own conflicts, and that could have left Bashar al-Assad really vulnerable. If you could just take our viewers through, what do you think happened and how did this happen so quickly?
So there are a couple of points to take into consideration, and also the cognizance about who the rebels actually are. So on 27th of November, they started off from Idlib, which is in the northwestern part next to Turkey. And the process started, it's on 29th of November, they took over Aleppo. By yesterday, 4:30 in the morning, they were all around near Damascus, Hama, Homs, all of them have been taken. Now, over the period of time, Assad regime had ended compulsory military conscription in the army, which weakened their army. At the same time, Syria is also with a lot of Alawites, Druze, Armenians, Sunnis, Christians, and a lot of different Kurds, actually, a lot of different minorities who are living there. Now, when HTS, who himself comes from the family of Golan Heights, the occupied territory, he initially was active with Al-Qaeda, with ISIS. He started Jabhat al-Nusra Front. Then later, 2014, 2016, he broke away with Al-Qaeda and ISIS and stated that we want only to function on Syria. His father had been imprisoned. He had been imprisoned by the regime several times. Now, the cognitive dissonance that is happening is on two fronts. Those who are critical of the rebels are stating that these are Turkey-led, sponsored, Israel-sponsored rebels who are taking over the city after city. The other, which is the Syrian people who are speaking, who have been, finally, they have been free from the prisons after 10 years, 13 years, they are meeting their families all together. They are saying that no, Jolani is basically a Syrian who is fighting. The rebels are fighting for them. They are freeing everyone who had been imprisoned by the Assad regime. Russia and Iran right now are at a weaker position, yes. But there's one more thing that HTS has to take into consideration. There is just not one umbrella front in Syria. There are many umbrella fronts in Syria. If all of them start resurging, the power of HTS will face some kind of challenge because it's not homogenic. How will the Kurds react? How will the Druze react? There are reports of like 1,000 women who are gone missing since 27th of November. We don't know where they are. Assad supposedly has shifted to Jordan or Russia. But the very interesting thing, is that Bashar al-Assad never wanted to be the president. He was a well-settled ophthalmologist with his family in London. But because his elder brother died, his father made him the president, the constitution was changed. But something to be very curious and very, very particular about is his younger brother, Maher al-Assad. He is the head of the military intelligence unit. He is much more dogmatic, much more scary, and much more manipulative than Bashar al-Assad. He has not left as of now. And the second thing is that in Syria, you have a lot of secret military polices or spy polices called as mukhabarat. It's a context in most of the Middle Eastern West Asian countries. So how is the mukhabarat going to take the entire challenge? Because mukhabarat are civilians and they are spies working for the government. So right now, for the Syrians, this is a liberation which has taken time from May 2011 to November 2024.
Right. Also, Dr. Shubhda Chaudhary, one last question is that how do you think India is looking at the situation? Now, India has asked its citizens to not travel to Syria, and the ones that are already there, they should come back as soon as possible. India is watching this situation. So are rest of the countries, especially the US. They're watching the situation very closely. How do you think that, especially when it comes to India, this would change the geopolitical situation or the diplomatic relations between India and other countries, especially Syria?
So thank you. That's a good question. The first answer is that Indians specifically are not much in Syria. Indian army men are deployed at the Golan Heights in the UN disarmament forces. One of them was very badly injured last month. Secondly, we recognize the state. Indian government recognizes the state of Syria. So that kind of foreign policy or bilateral policy is not going to change. At the same time, this is going to have impact on Lebanon. It will peel off. It will bleed out. This is going to have a geopolitical impact on Lebanon, on Saudi Arabia, on Jordan, on Turkey, and specifically on Israel, because now the rebels, the HTS, have also taken over Golan Heights. And Jolani is from Golan. So even though we thought that after the so-called facade of the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire, things would be silent, no, they won't. And what happens in Golan Heights is going to play a very crucial role for Israel, for Lebanon, for most of these countries in the Levant.